going to show you how I draft my collar for shirt and sometimes for a normal dress that I put a zip on the front. This tutorial was requested some time ago by someone, so I'm going to be showing you how I draft my shirt and dress neck collar, my collar. So something like this. This is the one I've already made. So I'm going to be showing you how I made it. It's in two pieces. So this one here is the bottom piece and this is the top piece. I've also made a little one as well, the one that's a bit more smaller that you see mainly on shirts. But this one, I haven't put the ends that you normally put the buttons on. So this one is the one I use for the blouse I made in one of my video tutorial. I will put the link on top. So let's start. So what you need the measurement of your bodice neck, or you could just measure it. I don't have my bodice here, but I've already taken the measurement already. So you need the measurement of your neck or your bodice, the blouse you are making, the half of it, the neck round from the back to the front. So you need, that's all the measurements you need. And also for the height of the collar, the top one, this one here, you can determine what you want. If you could do a big one like this one. This one here is 5 inches. This one here, this is 3 inches. So you can decide to make it small like this, or you can decide to make it big like this 5 inches one. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I do first. So first thing first, what you need to do is you need to mark down. I'm using a paper. So you need to mark down a pattern paper. You need to mark down half of your neck measurement. Half of your neck measurement. Before that, I'm just going to do my normal 1 inch guideline. I'll draw it at the bottom here. Okay, so that's my normal 1 inch guideline. And then from this guideline here, I'm going to mark down half of my neck measurement. So you need to measure your bodice. That's the neck of the blouse or the shirt you are making. Okay, so I've marked it there. So I'm going to be cutting this one, the big one. So the way I've done this one, I didn't cut it into two. Normally you need 2 pieces, but I didn't cut it into 2. I just folded it into, or cut it on the fold. I cut it on the fold. But every collar has to be cut on the fold. The paper I have, as you can see, I folded the paper into 2. So the collar is cut on the fold on the grain line. So you cut 2 pieces. Okay, so this is half of my neck measurement. So from here I'm going to be measuring 6 inches. Reason is because I will take half an inch there to sew it and half an inch there to sew it. So I'm just cutting it with sewing allowance together. So I marked down 6 inches there. I just marked down the 6 inches all the way up there, 6 inches. So this includes sewing allowance. You take a ruler and just draw a straight line, connect all the points together. And then I'll connect the point from here as well to here. That's the length of my neck, half of my neck. Okay, so I've drawn like a rectangular shape box. Okay, so now I'm going to look for the midpoint of the half of my neck measurement. I'm going to look for the midpoint. So the midpoint is here, 5, which is here. So that's the midpoint. point. So from this very end here, which is the length of my half of my neck, this last point here, this very point here, I'm going to go up by half an inch. I go up by half an inch. So I'm starting with the main big collar first. I will do the small collar later. So I've gone up by half an inch. And then on this point here, which is from here to there, is 6 inches. So this is also the length of my neck, half of my neck. So from here, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches extra. You can measure 2 inches extra if you want, but I'm just going to measure 1.5 inches extra, and I'm going to draw a straight line. Just to connect to the extra 1.5 inches that I've marked there. So now from this half an inches here, this is, I hope you can see what I'm doing. I just move it close. Okay, so from this half an inches here, you're going to connect this to this. This is half of my neck. When you measure your bodice to the neck, you measure it round. You measure the half of it round, half of it like that from the back to the front. So this is half of it here. And then I look for the middle of it. This is the middle here. So now on the line here, I went up by half an inch. I'm going to connect this half an inch to the midpoint here. So on this one, you need a curve ruler. So I'm going to be using either this ruler or this ruler. So you need a curve ruler to achieve this point. Curve ruler is very good for this. So I'm just going to use my curve ruler to connect the point. So you can use any curve ruler, French curve ruler, ham hole curve ruler, you can use any one. So I'm just going to connect the points together. You just get it right properly and then you connect them together. So I'm just connecting the points. Okay, so I've connected the point together. Remember, this collar is a very high collar. It's a big one like this one here, the one I've made already. So you can see it's very big. From here where my finger is the smaller one. And this is the end of the smaller one. If you want to put a button, there's 1 inch extra allowance at the end. So it's a big one I'm making. You can make the smaller one, which is like this one. But in this one, I didn't put the extra button because this is the one I use for zip. If I'm putting a zip at the front here, I put zip allowance and then I put a zip. Okay, so I'm going to now connect this point here. You know, I came up here half an inch and I've connected to the midpoint. So from this half an inch, I'm going to connect it to this 1.5 line I added to the top section. So I just connect it with the ruler. Okay, so I connect it just like this, and really that's the end of the top collar. There's nothing else to it apart from putting down all the markings and every other thing. So as I say, you can make yours smaller, but I've made mine bigger. So all I need to do now, remember the collar is cut on the fold. On the fold, and it's cut on the gray line. Not on the bias, on the gray line. So I'm just putting all the marking down. That's just the sign of cut on the fold. And then I'm going to mark down the gray line. So it's cut on the gray line. What you can do, you can then erase this line off. So you can erase this line off. can erase this line off. So what I'm going to do next, remember there is already seam allowance on the top here, but on the edge here there's no seam allowance. So I'm going to be putting seam allowance at the edge here. And I'm just going to be putting 1/2 inch seam allowance on the edge, that's all. So you just mark your 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way down, and then you connect it to the collar. Connect all the point together first, and then you connect it to the collar. This is just your sewing allowance. Okay, so this is your sewing allowance. Okay, so because the rest of it already have seam allowance, I don't need to add any more seam allowance. I only added seam allowance to the very edge here. So the next thing you do now is just to cut it out. So I've cut it out, and you can see how it looks like now that I cut it out. I will open it. Okay, so I've opened it out. As you can see, this is all there is to the top section of the collar. You can see this is where I marked as the fold line, and this is the grain, the mark of the grain line, because it has to be cut on the grain, not on the bias. So this is the top section of your collar. Hope you can see it very well. This one is quite big, so you can make it smaller. So now I'm going to be showing you how to cut the bottom part, the smaller one. So I'm going to be using the same pattern paper that I'm using already. So you are going to do the same thing. Because there is already seam allowance here, I'm going to just take this one, the big one, and I'm going to use the measurement of the neck. This part is going to be attached to the small one. So I'm going to measure from here all the way. It's what I'm going to use as the length for the neck. So I just take it and mark it down. So it ends here. Okay, so it ends there. And then from this point, I'm going to be adding 1.5, 1 1/4. I won't add 1 1/2. I will add 1 1/4 to this line here. 1 1/4 to this line. So this is the measurement for the bottom part of the neck. This one is going to be connected to the smaller one. So I'm using this edge here. This is the top of the collar, and this is the bottom part. So the neck, your neck, this is the part that's going to be touching your neck. So this is your measurement of your neck. But because I want it to have the button, I want it to have a button, which is this part here. I don't know if you can see it very well. This part here, this round part here, there's a button there. If I take a pin, I'll pin it and show you. So I'll take these two edges and pin it. So that's the button is going to be here. So the button is going to be here. So it's going to look like this. This one I didn't put interfacing, so you need to put interfacing. Because of the tutorial, so I didn't put interfacing, but you need to put interfacing on it. So now the wideness of this the small collar, which is the collar band, the wideness is normally 1 1/2 inches, but we do need a sewing allowance at the bottom to attach it to the shirt, and also a sewing allowance to attach it to the top collar, which is the main collar. So I'm going to measure 2 inch. So all the way 2 inch. because you need a seam allowance. You need half an inch seam allowance on the top, half an inch seam allowance at the bottom to join it to the main collar. So I take my ruler and draw a straight line. I just draw a rectangular shape line, straight line. Okay, so I'm going to just cut it out. Let me just cut this out so it's easy to work with. Okay, so now this is all you need. This is 2 inches here, 2 inches wide. That already includes the seam allowance already, so you don't need a seam allowance added to this anymore. So what I'm going to do now is, okay, so I have already drawn the curve shape, remember? So now what I was trying to explain is I'm going to come in on the very top here. I'm going to come in by 0.25 of an inch. So I come in by 0.25 of an inch here. That's at the very top here. Let me take the ruler off so you can see. At the very top here. So I'm going to now from this line here, I'm going to measure up half an inch. That's from this straight edge line here on the top here. I went up by half an inch. From this edge here, from the edge here, I came in by 0.25. I came in by 0.25, which is this mark here. So I'm just going to connect both lines together. So I connect both lines together, if you can see it there. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for the midpoint of this, which is already here, which I marked here already. So the midpoint, if you measure your collar, you look for the midpoint, which is here. Also, you look for the midpoint on the top as well, which is here, which I've marked down. So now, from this midpoint, I'm going to connect this point here to this half an inches point over here. I just take my ruler and connect them together. So you can take your curved ruler and connect them together. Connect the point together with your curved ruler. Okay, so I've connected them together. I'm just going to draw this straight because this is a straight line here. This one needs to meet this one. I just take the ruler and just draw them nicely again. Okay, so I'll erase this one off because I was supposed to do it at the edge. Okay, hope you can see that. So I've connected this point, this half an inches line here. I've connected it to the midpoint of the neckline, half of the neck measurement. So from this 0.25 that came in, I'll take my ruler and connect it to the bottom part here with a slanted line. I just connect it with a slanted line. So I connected it with a slanted line. Hope you can see what I've done there. So I've connected it with a slanted line. Okay, all right. So now what I'm now going to do, you can either take your ruler and draw a curve, or you can freehand it. You can freehand it because this point here is going to be connected to this point here. And this point here is going to be your neck. This is the part that is going to be touching your neck, that you're going to attach to the shirt. So this point here is going to be attached to the collar. So you can take a ruler, or you can freehand it, and you just draw a curve line. You can freehand it, it's up to you. Or you can leave it straight if you think it's okay by you. Okay, so I just freehand it and I draw a slight curve there. Okay, so this one here will be attached to this one here, like so, when it's open out. And this here will be the part you attach your button. This part here will be the part you attach your button, and this part is the one you are going to attach to the shirt or to the dress. This part here. So all you need to do now is to cut it out. So I'm going to cut it out so you can see how it looks like. Remember, I put 1.5 on this side because of the sewing allowance, so I only need to sew 1/2 inch curve like that. So I just draw the curve. So when you're sewing it, you just sew it like so. You sew it in a curve. You see that? You sew it in a curve, so you can have the curve there. Okay, I'm just going to erase that out. So at the bottom here, I'm just going to trim here as well. And then I'll also erase that out, so you're not getting confused. So this is the bottom collar. I'll show you both of the collars now. This is the bottom one. Let me open it out so you can see it. So if you want to do a Chinese collar, this is what we call Chinese. But you know, this is on the paper, so you have to really curve it nicely. When you are sewing it, you curve it nicely. And then it goes like that. It goes like that, so you can sew just this on its own if you want to sew the round band collar, or you can attach this one to it, so you complete a full collar. So this one goes here like this. Stitch this one to this one like so. Make sure they are matching each other at the back of the neck. Then you stitch that one like so. Okay, so you stitch them together like this. Don't forget you are cutting two pieces you are cutting. 2 of this one, 2 of this one. Like what I did for mine, instead of cutting 2 pieces, which you can also do, instead of cutting 2 pieces, I just folded the fabric into 2. You see? I folded the fabric into 2. You can see? I folded the fabric into 2. And then you need to iron interfacing on it to give it body. So you cut 2 of this and 2 of this. Remember, the collar is cut on the grain line, not on the bias. So this is how I cut my collar, and you can use this method to cut your collar for your shirt, for your dress, for a blouse. You can also reduce this because I use a bigger length, but you can use a smaller length. For this one, I cut a smaller length. You can see it's very small, and I cut 2. You can see I stitch it on the top. I'm just trying to open it so you can see. So you can see that I stitch it on the top here. I stitch it there, so I cut 2. So you need 2 pieces of each. See? And you need to iron interfacing. I didn't iron any interfacing on this one. So you need to iron interfacing on it. Okay guys, so this is the end of the tutorial. I hope this tutorial was helpful, especially for the 2 ladies that requested for it. I hope it's helpful. If you didn't understand it, just leave me a comment on the comment box below, and I'll try and see if I can explain to you on the comment. But this is how I cut my collar that I use for my shirt, for dress and blouse. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial, or you will see me in my next tutorial. Bye.